Hi, this is Eric with Awake, and I'm here today to share with you ways to come back to your perfect, whole, complete self. A lot of us have a ton of pain inside, if we're honest, right? When we're little, everything's great. Like you're very, very little, I'm talking. You just show up in the world so vibrantly, so alive. And that gets robbed from a lot of us, if we're honest, doesn't it? It could be little T trauma, they call it, like little things that happen that told you you weren't okay. You weren't a good little girl or a boy, a good little boy, right? Or big T trauma. That's the stuff that the hardcore stuff that a lot of us have been through. And this whole road is about healing all that stuff inside and learning to love yourself, if we're honest, the way some of our parents couldn't. Not because we blame them, because they're just like us. They don't have it all figured out, right? And they showed up as best as they could. So today we're going to share with you an acronym called RAIN, and this is from the work of Tara Brach. So RAIN. We're going to get you into the present moment here with this practice. And the first part is R is recognize. But before that, just to give you a little construct here, a little framing, what we're talking about is we need you to go within to heal those hurting parts, right? We all get these uncomfortable feelings inside, right? Tight chest, tight throat. Maybe we label it depression, anxiety, stress, burnout, just all these really pretty horrible feelings. Maybe it's a feeling of not confident, not good enough, not worthy, right? We all have these things inside. It's nothing to be ashamed of, right? But what we're going to do is do the opposite of what we've been taught in this culture, right? Just been taught to go fast and to keep moving forward and to never slow down. So I'm going to invite you in this video to actually slow down and notice next time that you're feeling stress inside or hurt or unworthy or all these things. We're going to ask you to do something miraculous, and that's to stop first. We want you to stop whatever you're doing out in the world, and we're going to teach you to care for yourself. That's what this is all about. We're going to have you give the love to yourself that your parents who were hurting puppies too, and your culture who's a hurting puppy as well, what they weren't able to do for you. Again, not out of any malintent, but just because they didn't know how to do it themselves. So you got to do it for yourself. Okay, so this is a practice of love, and let's do it. So first, you have to stop whatever the heck's going on in life, right? Uh, yeah, so first, notice what's going on in there, and then we're going to train you to recognize. So what we want you to do is just to go within and notice that there's some tightness in the chest. Say, we'll just play with that today. That normally you would label anxiety or something, right? So that feeling, right? First, you just recognize I'm having a feeling. Okay, that's okay. Go towards the feeling, right? Recognize it. Check it out. Allow it to be there is the A. So A is allow. Let the feeling be there. I is investigate. So what we want you to do is to actually go towards those uncomfortable feelings and check it out. Don't be scared. It just wants to be felt. It just wants to be noticed, and you actually go towards it. And then the N is nurture. And this is hard for so many of us in the West, right? We've been trained in a culture of if you're hard on yourself, that's how you succeed. You got to push through. You got to work harder, right? This is a little different. This is like wrapping yourself in a warm blanket on a cold day. This is going towards and healing. This is being tender. This is softening around your feelings versus being harsh to yourself and adding on more pain. Like I shouldn't feel this way. Do you ever do that one to yourself, right? So that's RAIN in a nutshell: recognize, allow, investigate, nurture. Now, that might not fully land for you if this is new to you. So I want to give you an analogy to help this really help you. So imagine you're at home um, and say you're working from home and you're busy, you're on the computer or you're doing something, and you hear a knock at the door. Knock, 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 right? So of course you have to stop what you're doing, right? And then you go to the door and you open it, and it's your best friend in the world. It's maybe a family member, someone you love and care about so deeply, and they're at the door and they're in tears, right? So what do you do? Do you slam the door in their face? No, right? Of course not. You open the door and you see them in tears, and what do? You invite them in, don't you? So what we're giving you an analogy here for is real life. In real life is for rain, right? You recognize this loved one is in pain, so you recognize that, right? You don't just go on with your day. You don't just slam the door and go back to work, right? You recognize, and then you allow them in. This hurting person, right, it's you too. But you allow this person in. What are you going to say? Like maybe have them come sit down on your couch and spend some time with you, and you're going to just really recognize they're hurting, right? And you're going to allow them to be in that space. You're going to stop what you're doing for as long as it takes, aren't you? You're going to sit by their side, maybe. You're going to light a candle. Maybe you're going to offer them some tea, right? Sweetie, you're welcome here. It's okay. This is allowed. You're a human. It's normal. You're not going to shame them, right? You're not going to say there's something wrong with you. Isn't that what we do to ourselves, though? So we want them to allow them to have their feelings. I is investigate. Because you love them, aren't you going to ask questions? Aren't you going to say, what's wrong? What happened? Tell me more, right? You explore their pain. This is the opposite of our culture that avoids pain with Western medications, for example, right? Like there's a reason our whole culture is on head meds, right? There's a lot of avoidance going on here with these uncomfortable things. But if you love someone, you actually go towards them and ask questions and investigate and spend the necessary time. Another place you might see it in the West is when you go to the Western doctor, they only have a few minutes to share with you, right? And that's not their fault. It's just the cultural system. But isn't it nice if you went to a holistic doctor and they spend an hour and a half with you? Isn't that nice? So this is what we're training ourselves in is this new level of love and kindness that's missing in our culture. You need to be different than this culture to survive here and be happy and healthy. So recognize that your friend is suffering. Allow them to come in, investigate what's going on, sweetie. Go towards it with them. And then N is nurture. This is an opportunity, right? When you love this person, you're gonna maybe something my grandma did for me once, which was really sweet. Was a chilly day, and she went and put the blanket in the dryer. She brought it and put it on me. This is the level of nurturing we're talking that you would do for your best friend who's hurting or your loved one, right? You would just care for them. You'd be soft. You'd be loving. You'd shower them with that. You'd say, take as long as you need. I have nothing else to do. I'm here with you. Nurture. So that completes the acronym that I want you to take from this video, and I want you to start using it every day. And remember that analogy of the friend, of the loved one that comes to you in a time of need. And just how you would care for them is how you need to care for yourself. But this is tough. There's another chunk here, and it's called self-compassion. There's been studies done by a leader in the field. Her name is Kristen Neff. She's like the goddess, the queen of self-compassion. And what she teaches us is that we no longer um, need to be so hard on ourselves. And this is just scientific. This isn't being soft or new agey or flaky or any of that craziness. The science actually shows that you being kind to yourself has a better outcome than us being tough on ourselves. So I really want that to land for you. Being kind to yourself and loving and compassionate and gentle actually has a better outcome than being harsh and mean on yourself and saying, just toughen up. What's wrong with you? Don't do that anymore because it doesn't work anyways. It doesn't work. You'll perform better when you're kind to yourself. And the studies that she's done are amazing. Check her out, Kristen Neff. It shows that many of us are easier to show compassion to others um, than it is to ourselves. So if it's hard for you to be kind for yourself, know that you're not alone. Know that this is normal. And I would highly encourage you to go to Kristen Neff's website and download her free audio meditations. And that's what's going to walk you through some actual guided meditations and learn to actually be kind to yourself finally. Because I'm going to tell you 100% for sure, I'm a therapist. I do this work every day with people. The only way out is through. You need to stop running from your pain. You need to stop running from that feeling of unworthiness, of not good enough, of shame, of anxiety, of depression. You have to go towards it. You have to shower it with love. You have to care for yourself. And this is very personal, intimate. No one needs to know you're doing this. You need to be sweeter to yourself than you can imagine possible. I'm telling you, it sounds counterintuitive to this culture that works so hard and pushes so fast. We're killing ourselves in this culture. You can see it, right? You can see the stress. You know this is true. I'm sure you can feel that. So please do the opposite of our culture. It's like one of my teachers described it as a bunch of sheep and they're running off a cliff. And you need to be one of the ones that goes away from that pack. It's the smart thing to do. This culture, we have to admit, is off course, right? You need to be different. You need to listen and hear this ancient wisdom that I'm sharing with you from all my teachers from the Eastern awakened, enlightened teachings. So please try this. Imagine loving yourself just like you do a best friend or a loved one. Do that for yourself. Practice rain, and I promise you, if you have the guts and a tender heart to go towards your pain and to move through it and out the other side, that's where your wholeness lies. And that's what I want for you. So if you've enjoyed this video, please follow us here on social. Just because I want to share more with you, share it with friends. Please, let's spread this message. We don't have to go through life suffering and stressed out and anxious like the rest of this culture. Um, so we'll see you soon. Lots of love.